said, son, Dad knows what he's doing. Leave Dad alone, okay? I said, oh, well, if he needs some help, me and Eddie in here, we just little kids, but hey, we want the rec room. So it was like weeks and weeks and weeks. Mom said, son, Dad knows what he's doing. Leave Dad alone, okay? I said, oh, well, if he needs some help, me and Eddie in here, we just little kids, but hey, we want the rec room. So it was like weeks and weeks and weeks. Dad is, putting stuff in the garage, saving stuff up, bringing in lumber and everything. So finally, okay, Dad starts getting a saw and starts sawing lumber. Finally, he had all these drawings and everything. So, because, me and Eddie, we feel we helping out because we're holding the light, form, whatever else. Of course, we did all the painting after, but we're holding everything. So, at the point, it took him weeks and weeks and weeks. When he started putting things that we had no idea what it was going to look like. None whatsoever. Okay, so we had in the fog said that what in the world is he doing down there? We can see what's going on. We go down there every day. We saw, sticks and 2x4s going up. We saw things on the ceiling. We saw things laid out on the floor. Dad is, putting stuff in the garage, saving stuff up, bringing in lumber and everything. So finally, okay, Dad starts getting up and starts sawing lumber. Finally, he saw everything. So, because, me and Eddie, we feel we helping out because we're holding the light, form, we did all the painting after, but we're holding everything. So, at the point, it took him weeks and weeks. We started putting things that we had no idea what it was going to look like. None whatsoever. We had so I said that what in the world is he doing down there? We can see what's going on. We go down there every day. We saw 2x4s going up the ceiling. We saw things laid out on the floor. We saw things against the wall. We couldn't figure out what in the world we were going to have downstairs. I figured there was a place to play in. So eventually, when he finally got finished, okay, he did, an excellent job. You go downstairs. Figure out what in the world we got downstairs. I figured a place to play in. He did an excellent job. You can notice you have switches on the wall. You hit one switch, the TV comes on. The TV is in the wall. The TV comes on. The TV is in the wall. You guys know how you have the remote right now. You sit on the sofa, hit the remote button. We had that way back then. Hit the switch, your first switch, the TV. You know how you have the remote button. Hit the switch, your first switch, the TV inside the wall comes on. Hit another switch, the lights, ball on. You hit another switch, the cafe had it. So it will just go under the window here. Nice cozy atmosphere, sitting, switching at it, had a night come on. It was so amazing. Then the heat source, he had the pipe in the ceiling. He had the hot water pipes. That so the heat for the whole base. He had those out so the heat would come down. Okay. And then obviously the way he did the TV and the wall, he had problems whatsoever. The door is swung out. Put the antenna down first. Swung out. In case that TV went bad, we can take it out. Put it in there. Sit it back in the wall. Everything was, and then he had the second area set up with somebody like a little kitchen down with the bathroom. Somebody can live down there. He had a little workshop over there and everything. Then talking about utilization of space. Then he designed when you come down the stairs, and that space right there was thrown away. He had a door where you could actually come in and put stuff for storage under the stairs. Now he had did all of this, and we were completely amazed. Okay, bring our friends from high school, junior high school, over to the house, had a place to sit down, talk, entertain the kids from the neighborhood, and then everybody looked at it like we bought the house that way. And I said, well, no, my dad did all this. I said, well, your dad didn't do it. My dad did all this. Trust me, okay? And I said, we helped too, and Eddie did all the paint. All the paint you see, me and Eddie always take credit for it too, So Dad went through all this, and then he got into another project. Mom told me that he's going to have a pool in the yard. Pool, okay?
The fish pond. Oh!
This was the backyard. This was the backyard. And I said, Mom, we go up to Tacoma Park. What kind of pool are you talking about? Because we don't have a big yard. She said, well, it's really going to be for the girls. I said, well, it would be for the girls. They don't even go swimming, you know what I mean? So me and Eddie go up to Tacoma Park. We hitchhike, go up to Tacoma Park, whatever, on 5th Street. So then that we saw him, digging the backyard, okay, putting the bricks around, then the concrete around that, and then design it so that he had a plug on it, which went under through the concrete. Before the back door, had a little plug there in the pipe where you can pull out the plug, drains right down, the exit hole right before the basement door. There was a little drain right there. So he did that for Doris and Margie. Doris and Margie out there, waiting for food. They sit down, there. When all of it was done, they down there just swimming in that little pool right there, So I think the first time I got in there too, for our little swimming trunks was. So, and Dad, we tell, hey, we got our own pool in the yard. So then what Daddy did, another project, he had the little pond. It's an L-shaped pond in the front corner of the yard. Okay, he did this L-shaped pond, and he didn't have these rocks in the center covering the drain where you couldn't see it. It was a natural setting where the rocks were coming up. It's a drain down there in the plug. So we looked at that, looking at the pond. So Eddie and I talked about going out to Kenilworth Park, Kenilworth Gardens. So we went out there, we drove our bicycle, Route 50, all the way out there on that bicycle, a long way from Barnum Street. We were on Route 50, we had our bicycles going all the way out in Kenilworth Park, had our little buckets and sacks. Then we caught these frogs, these turtles, and these tadpoles. We brought them back to Barnum Street. On that highway, right? We're talking about 50, we were on that bicycle all the way down to 50. So we found out about Kenilworth Garden. We going out there and we catching these frogs, these tadpoles, these turtles. We took them all back and we put water in the L-shape. I don't know if you guys, other than kids knew that. We knew about that.
Because there's a lot of down there with y'all.
So now somehow I'm trying to think about, I was up this morning, now where did these come from? We had these screens to keep the frogs from jumping out. They had braces, and the screens fit exactly. I don't know if they came from the pan or whatever else. All I know is the fact that we had screens to prevent the frogs from hopping out up into the yard. All contained in there, and it would be in there always until the wintertime, until when it freezes over. But we didn't care about that, the Kenilworth Park in the springtime. And the thing I remember most about it is the fact that all the kids would come over. Okay, they would come over at nighttime. We would catch these lightning bugs. Okay, take the lightning bugs and dump them in there on the screen. The frogs see these lightning bugs late at night. They go in, they just grab the lightning bugs. So the lightning bugs, the insides of the frog, glow like lightning bugs. We see the organs and the ribs, everything. So we just, all the kids watching these frogs eat these lightning bugs. So eventually, the lightning bug finally was going to die, and then you don't see the light anymore. But I mean, it's really fascinating to watch this. We put the big black water bugs, and then the frogs keep going out and eating them all up. I mean, that was a joy for us, basically for me and Eddie, because, Doris and Mark, a lot of frogs and stuff. But Eddie and I had a ball, and all the other kids in the neighborhood would come over at nighttime, and they would sit back and catching these lightning bugs and bringing them over, and we dump them in there, and, it was really, really a fascinating experience, And then I remember the time that we, of course, we had a dog. Dad constructed this doghouse. Dad had a doghouse design. Now, this is all being an art, all these things. The other profession that an engineer. Okay, I looked at finished engineer, which is very similar, but the engineer has to do with construction. Okay, so Dad started doing all the construction and everything. So all the things he was doing, and then that has to do with the pool and laying with the ground, the doghouse, but his doghouse built. He built a house where the doghouse was glass. The dog didn't have to get up to come out and see what was going on. The doghouse had a swinging door, glass swinging door with a frame to keep the wind from blowing into the doghouse. The dog had glass, so the dog can just hear noise, hold his head up, look around, check it out, go back to sleep, right? He can stay in there. And we can look at the doghouse and look at the dog and see him in the doghouse, no problem. Okay? So, the way he designed that off the ground, on these bricks, had it insulated, had everything, was well done. And of course, you know, then the next project was he built the rabbit house.
Right.
Okay. He did the rabbit house, big long rabbit house off the ground, shielded from the weather. Then he had a screen area that he can go into, you know, do his little business and stuff, drop on the ground, all this. I mean, you know, that he did that. We had peak, okay. And I'm looking at all these projects. That's where you come to someone being basically the experience of being an architect and an engineer. So that's where you get to the jack of all trades. And at the same time, looking at Dad do all this stuff, I've never seen him call in, you know, a plumber, a bricklayer, okay, a painter, electrician. I mean, none of these professions. I only see him working, even on the roof with the gutter work, everything else. I've seen him, anybody else, helping him do anything. Okay, so then when I was reflecting on all these things when I was in college, and plus, you know, when I got my first house in Hyattsville, okay, I'm seeing really work with bricks and landscape. Because, you know, when my yard was going like slight running to the neighbor's yard, Dad came out there one day and said, listen, you know, we're going to have to build up a retaining wall here. I didn't know what a retaining wall was at that point in time. He said, build a retaining wall, level the yard off, you know, locate the spikes between the property line. We located those, put that in there. He got these cinder blocks, built a nice retaining wall. We filled in the yard. The yard was nice and flat. My yard was so nice that the people in the neighborhood, of course, you know, I was the only black on the block, right? And when I moved in there, they complained about, hey, you know, they're coming in, you know what I mean? Whatever. But into that, the neighbors start coming over after about that first year and commending me on the house, okay, commending me on the way it looked. And I used to have some of the neighbors come up, taking off their shoes on my Zoyce's grass. Just, Mrs. Belton, can I walk on your grass? I looked up and said, you know, walk on my grass. I see him out there with their shoes off, walking over. He had flattened the whole front yard out, which is nice. Then Dad said, you know, we had to put in a fence. You know, the fence was down and the fence was halfway buried. We pulled that up, and I told Dad, I said, Dad, we got a problem with the fence. What do we do about this? He said, well, you need a fence, I think he called it a fence puller or something like that. I didn't know what that was. So he came over there and he said, well, I got something to substitute instead of getting a fence puller. So he had something to straighten this fence that was laying down on the ground, got it up, pulled it up straight, looked like a brand new fence the way it was set up. So I'm observing all this thing and reflecting on this. And then I'm thinking of the fact that it would have really been great if he had gone to college. Okay, and now I would ask him about this on the way from one of the family reunions in South Carolina. He told me the fact that when he was in high school, that his teacher had talked to Granny, his mother, and told Granny, you make sure your son goes to college. You make sure. It's a little unusual for a teacher to hold out a student and go to the student's mother and tell the mother, now, you know, we've made arrangements, okay, so he'll go through the summer, or he'll go through everything, but you make sure he goes to college. And I remember that summer, Dad was telling me he went to Philadelphia to work that summer, okay, and I guess he ended up working on the shipyards, okay, and, you know, Dad was seeing more money he ever saw in one time in his entire life. Okay, and he was telling me, Granny used to say, my grandma used to say, Johnny, you make sure now, you know, you're going to go to college in September, everything's been worked out, you know, the teachers say you got to go, you got to go, you got to go, so she kept emphasizing, you know, you got to go, you got to go, and everything was fine till Dad sent that first check home, you know. Dad said he cashed his check, big check, because I think they probably had kept a week in the hole, as they say, and he got that 3 weeks at one time, whatever. Dad get this big check, cashed the check, obviously pull out his pocket money, sent the rest home to Granny. Okay, Granny, of course, you know, Granny didn't hold the money for him, but Granny saw that money. She wrote a letter back to him. He was telling me, and she told him, son, when you go out on the work, make sure you wrap up good. You make sure you got your mittens on, you got your earmuffs, get you a nice warm hat, you know, don't forget those undergarments and everything else. She didn't mention a thing anymore. She got that money. she said, gee, my son making this much money with the education he had, what, college ain't gonna need, you don't need that. That's not gonna do anything for him. So he told me she never mentioned it again after that. Okay. Now, and I was reflecting on that, thinking the fact that if he had gone, if he hadn't got such a good job in Philadelphia, okay, and she pushed him to go, I'm saying that how tremendously that would have turned his life around, and probably most of our lives, because I think that most parents who go to college will automatically expect their kids to go automatically. That's what Noel and Pam went. It was from grade school. Talked about different professions. It was accepted in the household that, hey, that's automatic. You're gonna go. Okay. Even the fact that Charlie would make sure that Jay was expected to go, because Jay started Morgan. I think he went over from PG after that. But Pam started. She went to Graduate University of Maryland, and then Noah went to University of Maryland, to Howard, to UDC. But they all got their degrees, and it was expected. So the parents would automatically expect the kids. Now, if Dad, I think, had gone, your dad probably might have been in the engineering field. He might have been an architect. He might have been basically a major builder. We could have, he could have had a big company in this area. Ed and I could have been involved. We could have gone back to South Carolina. A lot of opportunities. But at the same time, what he would have done probably is talk to his siblings, his sisters, and his brothers. Okay, because I think there were like 8 of them, I believe. Right? So, and he would have probably taught, and probably the ones that are entrepreneurs, which would have been probably, of course, Uncle Shug was an entrepreneur, then Aunt Jessie was an entrepreneur, okay, and Aunt Fanny was an entrepreneur. These were self-employed people, ran their own business who were self-employed. He probably would have talked to them about the importance of going to school, and him being the oldest, he probably had a tremendous influence over them to have actually Uncle Sugar and others to actually go, and then that would have been a tremendous effect on their household, on their families, and expecting their kids to go. So actually, we looked at all this, and then the fact that he probably would have gone, and then obviously he would probably instill more things in me a lot earlier than they did, probably in elementary school, probably with Doris and Mark and Eddie, and he said, well, hey, it's expected that you guys got to go, certain courses you need to take, certain schools, and make sure, because that would have been automatic. And I've looked at that and see how the education has helped me and how I expect certain people to just simply, it's like automatic. So it would have been like a generation ahead of all of us, and probably would have affected most of us. Now, I looked at the fact that
he's 80.
Dad is 80 years old, and the last time Dad was recognized, okay, if anything at all, it was at Bible Way. Okay, some of you all were there, and then Dad had prepared these things that he had did in the church or whatever else, and I was designated to get up and read those, and then I was going to talk more about my dad at that point in time, but then Dad had got me before that and said, well, he didn't want these people to really know at the church, what his capabilities were. He didn't want, so I'm hassling with this. He said, I don't really want them to know that I've done so much and all these things, because he said, they're going to work me to death. He said, if they knew all this stuff, okay, that I would